Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.
Welcome to AI Hub, the show that keeps you ahead of the curve in the world of AI. I'm Larry, your guide through all the exciting stuff happening in AI.
And I'm Amanda. I'm here to help us break it all down.
And today we're diving deep into a topic that's got everyone talking.
Yeah.
It's information access. You know, these AI models we hear about.
Yeah.
They're like students. They're capable of incredible things, but they need the right resources to really shine. And that's where things get interesting.
Exactly. One of the biggest things these AI models need is good information, high quality information. And a lot of times that kind of information isn't just freely available out there on the web.
Right.
Think about cutting edge research, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports, that kind of stuff you usually have to pay to access.
Yeah, so it's not as easy as just setting the AI loose on the internet to grab whatever it can find.
Yeah.
There are rules and there are costs involved.
Right. And that's where this idea of retrieval augmented generation comes in, or RAG for short. It's like, imagine the AI as a chef, but it needs access to a pantry full of ingredients to create, its masterpieces. And in this case, the pantry is full of things like databases and research papers and even those premium articles we were talking about.
So it can't just work with whatever scraps it finds lying around.
Yeah.
It needs those specific ingredients to really cook up something special.
Exactly. But how does the AI get access to those ingredients? Especially when they're locked away in a publisher's vault, so to speak.
Right.
One way has been through web scraping, where these bots crawl the web and gather information.
Right.
But that's become a legal minefield, with lawsuits popping up left and right.
Yeah, we've seen big companies like OpenAI facing challenges over how they collect data. And publishers are protective of their content, of course, especially when they've spent a lot of money and time creating it.
It's tricky, right? Because on one hand, you have AI with this incredible potential to solve all these problems and generate insights. But on the other hand, you have to think about copyright infringement and, making sure that content creators are compensated fairly.
It's like the Wild West out there. Everyone's trying to figure out the rules as the game is being played. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the alternatives to this web scraping free-for-all?
Well, one company that's trying to bring some order to this is LinkUp. They're basically creating a marketplace where publishers can connect with developers who need access to their premium content.
Oh, so instead of having these bots sneaking around, LinkUp is trying to set up a system where everyone can benefit, so publishers get paid and AI developers get the information they need legally.
Exactly. LinkUp's like a bridge between these two worlds. It's about making data access for AI more ethical and more sustainable. But this new approach brings up a lot of questions like, how will this affect smaller AI startups, the ones that might not have the money for all this premium data?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. If we start putting a price tag on information, does that create a gap where only the big players can afford to be in the game? Are we going to see like a tiered system, where the haves and have-nots aren't defined by like money, but by the information they can access?
Yeah, it's a really important question, something to think about as this model develops. But there's another angle to this. If publishers know they'll get paid for their content, it might actually encourage them to create even better stuff.
That's true. It's like everyone benefits, the AI gets better data, and the publishers are rewarded for their work.
Right. It's not just about making money. It's about creating a system where everyone wins, the creators and the people using the information.
So how does this work in practice? Does LinkUp just give them like a key and say, here's everything, go ahead?
Not exactly. It's more like they're a curator. They work with publishers to make sure AI applications can access the content safely and in a controlled way. It's kind of like a library where the AI can request information it needs through an API.
So the AI can't just take everything it wants. It has to be more specific.
Exactly. And that's important because publishers can set their own terms and conditions. They can decide what information is available, how much it costs, and they can even track how often their content is being used.
So it's like every piece of the puzzle has a price tag, and the AI has to decide what to pay for. But what about those smaller companies we talked about? Could this system make it harder for them to innovate, if only the big companies can afford the data?
That's a real concern, and something LinkUp and others are trying to figure out. One solution could be tiered pricing, where smaller companies or research groups could get access to some of the data at a lower price.
That makes sense. Like different subscription levels. You see that with streaming services and online publications.
Exactly. You pay for what you need and what you can afford. And this is where data curation becomes even more important. LinkUp would have to make sure that even at the lower levels, the data is valuable and relevant.
So it's not just about having tons of data, it's about having the right data and making sure it's organized and usable.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole conversation so interesting. It's not just about the technology, it's about how we think about information and how we value it in this digital age.
It's like we're rewriting the rules as we go, trying to balance the potential of AI with the need to protect intellectual property and make sure knowledge is accessible to everyone.
It's a delicate balance, for sure. And as AI keeps developing, we need to be thoughtful and adaptable to make sure everyone benefits from its power.
It's like we're on the edge of like a whole new world of information.
Yeah.
Where AI is at the center of how we find it, use it, even create new information.
Yeah. And it's really cool to see companies like LinkUp trying to build a system that works for everyone, makes it fair.
It's like they're building the roads for this information superhighway and making sure everyone has access, not just the people with the fancy cars.
That's a great way to put it. And, one thing that's really interesting to me is that it's not just about the tech itself. It's about changing how we think about information and how much it's worth.
Yeah, for a long time, we've just expected information to be free, especially online. But now we're realizing that good content costs money to create, and we need to acknowledge that.
Exactly. And that's why I think models like LinkUp's could really make a difference if publishers get paid for their work. We'll see even better content being created, and the AI systems of the future will be built on, a solid foundation of good data practices.
It's like we're finally seeing the big picture.
Yeah.
The whole ecosystem of information depends on a balance between access, innovation, and fair compensation.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to talk about this now. As AI keeps growing, we need to make sure we're creating a future where knowledge is something everyone can share and benefit from.
This has been a really fascinating look at AI and information access. We've just scratched the surface, but it's clear that things are about to get really interesting.
It's been great exploring this with you and with all of you listening out there.
And if you found this as interesting as we did, be sure to subscribe to AI Hub for more deep dives into the world of AI. We'll be back with another episode soon. Until then, keep learning and stay curious.
Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.